Well, welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to episode number 3 of season 3 of Hit It Where They Mow, Talking Golf in Texas. I'm Pat Wheeler. I'm your host, and my special guest today is Marcus Jones. He's the regional director of College Golf Fellowship, which is a Christian organization that reaches out to college golfers, men and women, I'm assuming.
Yes. I mean, there's a sister organization that really does most of the women, so we mainly are focused on the men. And so we help them, we work alongside of them, but they're not under our same umbrella.
Okay, so it's mainly about men's college golf, and there's been some great tournaments going on in the Metroplex that got under the radar for me. But one thing we don't want to get under the radar are our sponsors. We're so grateful to the people that make this possible to have a podcast about golf and Texas golf and beyond. And as we all know, people are interested in what's going on in Texas. It's a big state and has great golf history. I want to thank, first of all, Niagara Conservation. And here's Tricia to tell you a little bit more about Niagara Conservation.
Thanks, Pat, and thanks, Niagara, for your support of so many nonprofits, including the Volunteers of America 125 plus years of national support for those in need. Are you tired of compromising between performance and water efficiency in your bathroom? Well, Niagara has the perfect solution for you. With almost 50 years of expertise, they've mastered the art of creating top-notch toilets, bidets, and more that save water without sacrificing performance. Don't miss out on this bathroom revolution and upgrade your space today. Niagara products are available nationwide.
My other corporate sponsor is Veritex Bank, the Golf Bank of Texas. Nobody does more for golf in the banking world than the good folks, Malcolm Holland, Martin Thomas, over at Veritex Community Bank. They have wonderful products for personal banking and small commercial lending. They give you the kind of attention you deserve, and you want to bank with somebody that loves golf as much as you do. So check out Veritex Community Bank for your banking needs. And I love my 2 golf courses that help sponsor the show. One's in Oklahoma, just 90 minutes up Interstate 35 in Ardmore, Oklahoma, Dornick Hills Country Club, the home course of the great Perry Maxwell, one of the great golf architects of all time. And they have wonderful deals up there on non-resident memberships, or if just a group of you want to go up, call the golf shop up at Dornick Hills Country Club and see about getting set up for a day of golf up there. And last but certainly not least, and closest to my heart, being an East Texas boy, is the Tempest Golf Club, just outside of Longview, right off of Interstate 20, about 2 miles off Interstate 20, about a 2-hour drive from Dallas. Big hills, big trees, lots of water, wonderful views, wonderful vistas. East Texas golf as it was meant to be, the Tempest Golf Club. Marcus, great to have you in here. It's been a while. You and I go back a ways. Just to get rolling about College Golf Fellowship, we want to talk about your ministry. We also want to talk a little bit about you personally and your background in golf, and also just Texas golf and college golf. But I just saw on Facebook today the 54th anniversary for Rick and Cindy Massengale.
Oh, yeah.
And I caddied for Rick Massengale.
Did you really?
In the 1967 Briarwood Invitational in Tyler, which is now the Cascades. And Rick finished 3rd behind Jeff Voss, who was a great player at North Texas, and the great Hal Underwood, underdog himself, who was an All-American for many years at the University of Oklahoma. University of Houston. I don't know why I said University of Oklahoma. You're a University of Texas guy.
It happens.
It happens.
You're just rubbing it in
It happens.
It's Texas OU week, right? You're just...
Right. But y'all should have any trouble with OU. But anyway.
They're pretty good.
Tell us a little bit about College Golf Fellowship and why I introduced it by talking about Rick Massengale.
So, College Golf Fellowship in the beginnings, Rick had a big part in it being formulated.
Right.
And so there was a guy named Lawrence Field and who played at the University of Texas, who got to know Rick. He became a believer as a senior in high school. Got to know Rick, who was at that time had become a believer on the PGA Tour, and they were both Longhorns. Rick invited Lawrence down.
About what year are we talking? Do you know?
Oh, this is late 1960s. 60s, or late 1970s, 1980ish.
Okay.
Is when Lawrence and Rick got met up. Because I think Rick's golf career ended about 83 with his injury. And so this was like late 70s, early 80s. He went to the Tour Bible study in San Antonio. This was just one part of what happened, but as far as Rick's involved, Rick had him down there. Lawrence had a heart for his teammates. They talked to some other pros and said, hey, let's have a conference at the Western Open up in Chicago for any of the college guys that want to come. And Lawrence helped raise some money through some guys in Dallas to take about 20, 25 of his friends that were in college golfers up there to spend 3 days, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday with the pros. And they did some Bible studies and teaching.
At the Western Open.
At the Western Open in 1980, 1981. And that led into guys' lives being changed, some other businessmen getting involved, and creating College Golf Fellowship. I think officially we weren't incorporated until like 1982 or 3. Rick came on staff in 86 after his injury, and then he served as our executive director from 86 to 2001. And still is a major part of what we do, even though
15 years he did
15
that.
years, yes.
He was the national director.
Yes.
Now, you're a regional director. They now have several regional directors, right?
Yeah, and at that time it was just Rick and one other guy usually. When I played golf in the mid-90s, it was Rick, Mark Perry, Brad Payne, who's our current president and the PGA Tour chaplain, and Cindy Mackey did some stuff with the girls. And a guy named Stephen Bunn, who's also one of the tour directors. He was just out at the Ryder Cup with Zach Johnson, all the guys this week. And so it's evolved from, in the early on, we would do dinners at college tournaments where the tour pros would share their faith and really invite anyone that was interested to connect with Rick or anyone, and they would help plug them into local churches, understand what the good news about Jesus is, help them find a mentor in their local area. But there's only 3 or 4 staff guys across the U.S. from like 86 until 2001.
Okay.
So
let's back it up a little bit. We're talking about Jesus Christ. We're talking about the Christian faith. We're talking about being committed to following Him, not just, giving it lip service. I had the wonderful opportunity to, probably the highlight of my MC career, I'm a poor man's Jim Nance, was I got to host a dinner at the Dallas Women's Club the week before the Masters of 2019, right before COVID. 600 people were in attendance. It was the closest thing to Carnegie Hall I will ever get to. And the late Craig Bivens is the one who brokered the deal to the Dallas Women's Club. He was living in Highland Park, knew a lot of the people involved with that club. And they have a couple events a year where they invite the husbands. So they wanted to have a golfing event. And so I had Don January agreed he would do it, Jackie Cupid, Homero Blancas, and Roy Pace, and Charles Cootie. Well, Charles Cootie, and it was before the Masters, had a Masters theme. Right before, not the day before, but about 3 weeks out, Charles said, hey, I'm flying to Augusta the next day, and I'm just not up to it. I think it's too much, and my wife doesn't think it's a good idea, and I don't want to leave you hanging at the last minute. I said, well, I appreciate that. Long story short, I said, can I pinch hit Rick Massengale for Charles Cootie? And the lady said, well, we got somebody else. I said, well, I don't really know that pro, but I know Rick. And they said, okay. And I asked Rick, and Rick said, I'll do it if I can give a little testimony about my Christian faith. And I ran it by the ladies, and they said, yeah, that's fine. We're not going to have like a altar call or anything. I said, no, we're not. But he wants to share his faith. And I even teed it up for him, Marcus. And here's the way I teed it up. It wasn't Bob Toski or Butch Harmon or somebody like that that helped you with your golf game. It was Billy Graham.
That's right.
And
that's right.
Rick told the story about the tour Bible study that's been going on a long time on the PGA Tour. When they were in Charlotte, they invited Billy Graham to lead it. And he said it's probably the smallest group Billy Graham's ever talked to.
Yes.
And it had a tremendous effect on him. And him and Cindy left there that day and gave their hearts to Christ, or soon after.
Yes.
It saved his marriage, which is now 54 years strong. Not only did that help his marriage, it helped his golf game because it took a lot of the pressure off of him. And he went on to win 3 times on tour. The Bob Hope Classic, the Sammy Davis Jr. and at Tallahassee. But you mentioned late 70s. In 1977, Rick was in the final group at the Masters on Sunday, and he was playing with Tom Watson. So we were able to get these film clips, and it was a wonderful presentation because I had such great help. Jane Boland is the lady that helped us so much with the Dallas Women's Club. But anyway, that's where I became aware of Rick's involvement with College Golf Fellowship. And so it's been going strong now for, close to 40 years, I guess.
That's right. And God used Rick to do a lot of this. I mean, we have, we're very thankful for Rick for what he did.
Yeah.
And really what God did through Rick, because if you know his story, Rick didn't grow up in the church.
Right.
I mean, he was a mess, and he would tell you.
Right.
And he pretty much destroyed his marriage by just his life being completely about golf. And then God used Billy Graham and the good news about Christ and the power that we have through Christ to really kind of save that. And then once he kind of gets it lined out and he's playing well, he gets an injury that takes him off the PGA Tour for the rest of his life. But God uses that to move him over, and he never thought about being in ministry, but these guys said, hey, I think you could raise some money and lead this ministry and do a great job. And he trusted them and did a fantastic job for 15 years, just kind of trusting God's kind of design for his life, which was not Rick's plan. You know, he wanted to play golf forever and still loves it.
Yeah.
But he did a wonderful job.
Yeah. Well, that leads us into your story. You were like the #1 junior player in Texas or the country or whatever.
Well,
and so golf was
part
pretty
of
big
that
in your life.
No, it was. And my life was a lot like Rick's. I mean, I modeled my life after my father, who, was all about winning. He was a great coach in West Texas, football, basketball, and a golf coach. And his life was about strategy and winning, and that's what my life was about. And for whatever reason, I got really good. And so I was first in the state of Texas in my class, 1993. And there was a guy named Tiger who was ranked ahead of me, and, just by like a little bit.
Eldrick Woods, and you're the same age?
He's a year younger, and so I never could catch him in points. He was quite a bit. I feel better about it now, but he was way up there. It was frustrating. Like, how do I beat this guy? But he turned out to be quite the player.
Absolutely.
But yeah, I played incredible golf as a junior, and then went to the University of Texas and played pretty well while I was there. And then I played 10 years of pro golf. But my faith did not become real to me or important until in college. And through a variety of events, my sophomore year, I came to the place where I think Jesus is who he said he was. And that really kind of transformed all the areas of my life. I started trusting with him with the way I dated, the way I was a teammate, the way I handled my parents, just everything. And as I did, it was a blessing to my life. Still struggle with sin. I'm still thankful for a Savior who loves me in spite of it. But like it's made a huge impact on my life.
Absolutely, and now you're passing it on via the College Golf Fellowship. Right. I know that in my book that's out there on Amazon, The Fringe Runner, I have a chapter on Bernhard Langer.
Yes.
And Bernhard was already a great golfer and already considered himself a good Christian. He grew up in a Catholic home in Germany and met a beautiful gal from Louisiana, and was married. He had just won the Masters, and he was driving to Hilton Head. He said he felt empty, and Bobby Clampett invited him to that tour Bible study, at that time led by Larry Moody. And it was the part about Nicodemus, you must be born again, born of the Spirit. And Bernhard said, I don't think I ever saw that in the Bible before. And he said, and Larry was so wise, he said, here, take this New Testament, and you and your wife read it, and if you have any questions, call me.
Yeah.
And they more or less converted themselves by reading the gospel. And so powerful to hear that from him. And of course, he said, if I wasn't good, I wouldn't have this platform to share my faith. And he's pretty good. Yes. He beat Hal Irwin's record on the Champions Tour, which is amazing.
Bernhard's amazing. He's one of my favorites.
Yeah.
But he's just really humble.
He really is.
He chased golf to its end. He got to the top of the ladder and just realized, what's
missing.
Next? I'm still unfulfilled. This can't be all there is. Because this world lies to you and says, hey, if I just achieve this, I'm going to be happy and content and be able to relax. And that's really not how it works. That's not my experience. That's not what Tiger's experience was. He'll tell you, to stay on top is exhausting, right? And most people figure that out. And so,
I like
but
what
Bernhard is.
Yeah, I like what we're moving around a little bit, but we'll get back to College Golf Fellowship. I like what my pastor says, Neil Jeffrey, quarterback in the Baylor Bears, and they finally beat Texas. It was a tremendous comeback, and they left the scoreboard on all night in Waco. And he went down, and he was already a believer. He was already a Christian. And he went down and looked at the scoreboard, and he thought, okay, we beat Texas, And his thing is, football is a great game, a great sport, but it makes a horrible God. And golf's the same way. And I'll be convinced. I'll be honest. I put too much importance on golf.
Yeah.
And hopefully you talk about that in your College Golf Fellowship. Take a little pressure off these young men.
Absolutely. Having your identity and all your hopes and dreams, joy or contentment based on your golf score is a really, really hard way to live.
Right.
I've done that, and it's miserable kind of going in the ups and downs and not knowing what's next. And the reality is at some point you're not going to be good again. Even if you're lucky enough or talented enough to achieve for a little while, it's all coming crashing down, whether you get old or injured or something else. And so we challenge these young men to think about life more than just birdies and bogeys, and fulfillment in life being, way different than just a pretty girlfriend and a good golf shot. And so it's a joy for me to do what Brad Payne and Rick Maskengale did whenever I was in college in the mid-90s. It's a joy for me to get to do that for this next generation. And now there's more than just 3 or 4 staff guys. We have 26 or 7 of us.
Good. Oh, that's great.
And so Larry Moody and Dave Kruger were always, the Search Ministries was like our big brother organization. They helped us get started. They had such a good relationship with them. They could constantly encourage the pros to come and share at the CGF events. And the pros that were involved in Tour Bible Study took great ownership in the outreach to college golfers. And that's mainly because they understood, like, college golfers are kind of an isolated group of people. They travel on the weekends. They're at the golf course till after dark. It's hard to be involved with the local church or a campus ministry, even if you are a believer. And if you're not, then you're riding this ups and downs of just trying to find fulfilling life by your golf score. And so they have a huge heart for these kids, young men that are in the college golf world, and they want them to know about Jesus and the hope that we have in Jesus. And so that's why we exist, is to kind of share relationally the hope of Jesus Christ with coaches and players.
Right. Yeah, because that transcends not only all sports, but all of life. Yeah, that is eternal life. We just mentioned that it got under the radar, and I wasn't aware. They just had a big college tournament over in Fort Worth at Shady Oaks. Normally it would have been at Colonial, and it used to be sponsored by Nike. Is it still?
Yes. It's the Hogan tournament now, the Ben Hogan tournament. And so I'm not sure on the title sponsors, but Nike was the main sponsor. They had the oven in Fort Worth.
That's right.
They would bring these Nike teams in, the college teams that were mainly Nike teams, sponsored by Nike, to Fort Worth to play Colonial and then just kind of get dialed in at the oven. And so
because you would see Texas or OU, but you would also see Oregon and Washington, and
it was pretty much all Nike schools. I don't know if it's all Nike schools anymore. Please forgive me if it's not.
No, it's okay.
But I think it's called the Ben Hogan now. It's not called the Nike Intercollegiate, and so I think it's a little bit different. But the Texas A&M, Oklahoma State, Stanford, Arizona State, Georgia, the top teams in the nation were just here in Fort Worth the last couple of days.
Yeah, I'm mad that I didn't get over to watch some of that.
I know.
Now, was that on television?
It was not on television, as far as I understand. Now, there was a tournament on television at the Blessings up in Arkansas, which some of you guys may have seen, which was another great field of college golfers. But it's pretty wild. The TV's picking up on this college golf stuff, and they're starting to show more events, especially the Golf Channel. And
the blessing is the blessing because Johnny Tyson, who I went to SMU with, became a Christian, and this Tyson chicken.
Yeah.
So he's got pretty good income.
Yes.
And he decided to build a golf course. He's an Arkansas guy, grew up in Arkansas, and he went to SMU for about a year, graduated from University of Arkansas. So it's outside of Fayetteville, and I remember watching The NCAAs were there about several years ago. The Cooties were playing. They were freshmen, I think.
Yes, they were.
And they beat Oklahoma State, and then they lost to Stanford, I think, in the finals. I think they did.
That sounds right.
Yeah. So how many tournaments will you go to a year? How many events will you have at college tournaments every year?
So I'll just say our typical staff guy has 3 to 4 local teams they'll spend time with doing Bible studies weekly, usually on a Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Those guys usually 2 or 3 times a month will travel and go to a tournament, or they'll have a local tournament in their area, where they'll spend kind of the full practice round, do a Bible study with the teams if it's convenient, if they're in a host hotel, and then maybe watch them the first round and come back. So that is a part of what we do is tournament visits. And each staff guy, I think, probably goes anywhere from 12 to 20 college tournaments a year.
Now you say a staff guy. You're a regional director, right?
Yes.
So you have people
which means I'm
reporting to you.
Old guy.
Right. Well, you're not old.
I'm just helping. Yeah. So my job now is to
you may think you are, but you're not.
I'm more discipling our disciple makers. Like I'm spending time helping them just be excellent in what they do.
So how many guys?
And so my job description looks slightly different. I usually go with one of them somewhere. I'm constantly kind of encouraging them, counseling them, giving them feedback. To be great at what they're doing, what I used to do. And so we have 3 regional directors, East, Central, and West, and that kind of tries to help continue to encourage our young guys and build or keep the same culture going that's existed for a long time.
So you're Central, I would assume.
I'm Central.
Okay. And you have how many people, how many staff?
I think there's 27. So we have Brad Payne and Stephen Bunn. They're our president and vice president, and they serve now as the tour chaplains. So Larry Moody and Dave Kruger, incredible men, did a fantastic job leading the Bible studies and all the work on the PGA Tour for about 30 years, and now they've kind of moved on to the Champions Tour or other things.
Right.
And the tour guys have asked our older staff guys, to replace them. And so they've been leading that about 6-7 years now.
Okay.
And then we have Corky Kemp, who is our East director, and he helps with the Korn Ferry Tour, which I may do a little more of next year. And then Steve Burdick is really our executive director. He's on the West Coast, and he kind of oversees our West Coast staff. Okay.
But, I mean, in the Central Division, how many... You mentioned there's a guy like in Fort Worth and a guy in Dallas.
So we have Travis Wolf in Fort Worth, who played at TCU.
I know Travis Wolf.
Dragan Majors is your alumni from SMU. Dragan is here in Dallas. And so they kind of see these local schools and then split up. And then we have 2 guys in Austin, Joe Beck III.
Hold on just a second.
Oh, let's go back.
Does Travis Wolf play cross-handed?
No, that's a different Wolf. That's Brent Wolf.
Oh, it's okay.
Who's about my age.
My bad. Go ahead. He's incredible.
No, Jeff Wolf.
It's incredible how good he plays cross-handed.
Jeff Wolf. Sorry, Jeff.
Yeah. Anyway, I'm sorry. Now, Austin.
So, Austin, you have Joe Beck III. His father, Joe Beck Jr., was at Austin Golf Club with Crenshaw and is one of Crenshaw's best friends. Joe Beck III played at Rice, and he's working out of Austin area with a kid named Drew Amon, who played golf in Sanford out in Birmingham. Him and his wife moved to Austin to be a part of Austin Stone to do their 2-year mission program, started working at UT Golf Club, and we just, A
2-year mission program. What is that?
So that church takes their people that are willing go through a 2-year missionary preparation program where they help train on what it's like to be a missionary overseas. And
it's called Austin Stone?
Austin Stone, great church in Austin.
Wow.
And so they came over to be a part of that, thinking they would go overseas, and then just through time and us talking to them, they decided to do really world missions, but local missions here in the U.S. Because as you know, like college golf is a global game. There's kids from all over the world that come here and play college golf. And so he's great. And then up in Oklahoma, we have Bryce Newton and Karsten Majors. So actually we have 2 brothers on staff, which is...
Karsten Majors?
Karsten Majors. So you got Dragan Majors.
Is he part of the Karsten family?
No, he's part of his family is, they love golf.
Okay.
They're from Bixby, Oklahoma, Tulsa.
Okay.
And named their son Karsten. But
well, yeah, and Karsten Solheim.
Karsten Creek Golf Course.
The person who started Ping.
Yes.
Was a Christian man. And they've got a connection to Laterno over in Longview. I think John went there.
Okay.
And it's a Christian school, great engineering school, very small. Just connecting a few dots here. One thing I want to go back and clear up about you, West Texas is a big place.
Yes.
Where in West Texas did you grow up?
So I grew up in Graham, Texas.
Graham.
A little bit north of Possum Kingdom Lake. Some of you guys have heard of that or been there. Beautiful, beautiful place. Graham is a town of about 10,000 people. My family moved there when I was 5 from Big Spring, Texas.
Right.
They grew up in Stanford and went to school at West Texas State, Big Spring, Graham. And so my whole youth basically was in Graham, Texas, where I grew up. Little 9-hole course there.
Yeah.
With an old pro named Lloyd Moody, who was the older brother of Orville Moody, who won the
U.S. Open in 1969 at Champions.
There you go. Well done.
Yeah, thank you.
And so I was blessed to have a really great pro at a little small town I was at.
Let's expound a little bit on Orville Moody. Sarge.
Sarge is right.
He's one of only, I'm going to say, I could be a little off on this, 5 or 6 or 7 men who have won the U.S. Open and the U.S. Senior Open.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, I think Arnie and Jack did it. Hale Irwin did it. I'm missing 1 or 2. Orville did it. It's a pretty elite club.
Okay.
And Lloyd Moody was your pro in Graham.
Yep.
That's incredible. Folks, it's Texas golf.
Golf.
We're talking golf in Texas here. Hit it where they mow.
I know.
Yeah.
We grew up on a little 9-hole course in the middle of nowhere and ended up, being the top-ranked junior in the state. I mean, I don't know how to explain it except, I had
bent greens for one thing.
Well, we had great greens.
Yeah.
We had a good pro to kind of help teach the game, and my dad loved to win. And and as the golf coach, once football and basketball season were over, we were to the golf course till dark every day, all summer long.
What did Lloyd Moody tell you as a young junior golfer that sticks with you to today?
I don't know that I got tips from him, but I didn't necessarily take lessons. So he wasn't like this.
Can you remember a tip?
It wasn't like Harvey Pinnock type teacher.
Yeah.
But I watched him play a lot and played against him a lot. He was a very good player.
Yeah.
Interesting enough, he grew up playing left-handed and had a hard time finding clubs. I think he was age 16. He won some junior tournament at 16 or 17 left-handed. Couldn't find the next set of clubs. They were hard to come by left-handed. He had shot in like 66. The next year he played the same junior tournament right-handed, shot 66 and won it again. So he was very good like his brother, but he didn't finish school. He didn't go to the military. He just went to work.
Amphibious. He
was ambidextrous, amphibious as some say. But just watching him play, like watching him flight wedges, watching him kind of make the golf course. He learned how to control the spin because our bent grass greens were very sloped and very fast. And if you didn't control your spin, it was just right off the front. And so I asked him a few things, but I don't remember anything specific like these
wise
words.
I'm always groping for something. We just did a show with the guys that had been over to celebrate the Ben Hogan 70th anniversary, and Paul Leonard got a lesson in the men's grill there at Shady Oaks from Ben Hogan when he was 15, and Ben took his belt off. He thought he was going to beat him or something, and he tied his arms together, so don't let your arms get away from your body.
Okay, yeah.
I thought, man, I'm going to go work on that later today. Yeah, that's a great tip. Yeah. Now, I wanted to talk, we got some background, Lloyd Moody, we got Orville Moody. Tell us about some of the events that you have. In other words, you're at a tournament and you have a dinner or a Bible study. You invite the guys. Obviously, it's voluntary for the guys that want to come. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
We have. Hold on. Excuse me. We have some wonderful events.
Okay.
You've heard we do weekly Bible studies with our local teams.
Right.
I talked about how we do tournament Bible studies.
Right.
But the tour players for years have, I think Paul Stankowski, who lives in Flower Mound here now.
He's playing well on the senior
tour. Playing
right
well.
Now. Yeah.
He started doing the summer retreats at tour players' homes.
Okay.
So when I was in school, we did them kind of at event centers like a Tapatio Springs or something. I say they, and I attended.
Right.
And so since about 1995 or 6, a lot of the tour players host retreats in their homes over the summer and the winter break.
Okay.
And we'll have anywhere from 20 to like 106, I think was the record that Ben Crane set when he was at Vaquero here. But we were all in his home for the teaching time, but we actually used about 5 or 6 other homes at Vaquero to house everyone. But these retreats are free. We raise the money in advance for the kids to come, and we pay for all their, housing and food and activities. And then at those events, we'll do Bible studies in the morning and evening. And we're very upfront, like, hey, just trust us. And so out of the 50 kids that come, let's say, you'll have 15 that are pretty faithful kids that God has revealed himself to, and they are believers, and they're inviting their friends. You have maybe 15 more that were like me, that I had a little bit of church background with my mom, and I probably thought I had some fire insurance. I called myself a Christian streaker. I put on the helmet of salvation, but then I just kind of ran around.
Yeah.
I didn't put on the full armor of God and walk with him. But there's about 15 of those that have some church background, and they're just kind of there to kind of learn more. And then you have another 10 or 15 that they really are clueless, but they trust their friend or their coach or our staff guy. Hey, we just promised them, here's a safe environment for you to learn the basics of the Christian faith and what it looks like to live in community, with other believers.
Yeah.
And so that's what happens in those retreats. And so coming up this winter, Scotty Scheffler and Mr. Sam Burns, they've been doing this for a few years now since they graduated. They're hosting a retreat in the Aledo area, Fort Worth, for about 70 college golfers.
Wow.
And so that retreat's very popular, obviously, because they're both so young and really good at golf. And so it fills up really quick. And then you got some older guys. You got Ben Crane and Webb Simpson, and then now I'm going blank about all the different pros that host retreats over the breaks.
And I want to talk about how people can help support your ministry too. We're not, crusading for money, but is it collegegolffellowship.org or what? How can they go online and look this up, see if they want to help support you?
Right. If you want to know more about College Golf Fellowship, it's collegegolffellowship.com is the website.
Okay.
You're welcome to contact me at mjones@collegegolffellowship.com.
Okay.
But God's been providing. But each of our staff guys, one of my jobs as a regional director is to help them build teams of people that will pray for them and support them financially so that they can do this for a long time.
Okay.
And so we're very careful on who we hire, and we want to take really good care of them because they are a little bit isolated in different towns. And so they need to be great churchmen, they need to be well trained, and they need good teams of people to care for them. And so if that interests you guys, then reach out to us. Or if you have a high school player or family, like that maybe they need some help navigating where they fit in college golf, or you know a college golfer, please reach out and let us know they exist, and we'll try to get them plugged in as best we can.
You just said something I wanted to follow up on a little bit, and that is I'm also involved in a Bible study with Coaches Outreach, which is a really good organization. And
fantastic.
Anyway, this morning we were studying the Bible, and it was about Paul and Timothy, and about how Paul invested in Timothy, and he was building Timothy up. And he said, I've known about your faith, and I knew about your mom and your grandmother. And I had 6 coaches there, or 5 plus me, excuse me. There were 6 of us there. I said, how many of us had mothers who were Christians? Unanimous.
All of them.
It's amazing what that does for a young man. And even though I ran from it for a long time, I was so encouraged when I did make my own leap of faith and believe that I had evidence that my mother was a believer. I found some writings that she'd done, and so that made me feel really good. But I don't know, you just made me think of that, because you mentioned your mom, and you thought you had fire insurance, and your mom invested in you.
Oh, yeah.
But ultimately you had to, Marcus and Pat had to, it's what we do as individuals, not what our parents did.
Yeah. My dad is a believer now,
Okay.
Which is wonderful.
Yes.
But my mom's the one that prayed for he and I a lot.
Yes.
And, drug me to church some. And I do believe, looking back, I was probably a believer at age 12 when I got baptized. I think I understood that I was a sinner. And if heaven was perfect and God was perfect, I wasn't headed there. You didn't. God had revealed that to me, like, hey, I'm a sinner in need of something to get me in right standing before God. And I did believe at that time Jesus was the way, like him coming from heaven, living a perfect life, and dying in my place for my sins, like that made sense to me, that he would be my living sacrifice. And so I accepted that when I was 12. But again, just like most of us, the world and winning, was what motivated me and drove me. And I really didn't know my Bible. I didn't read it. I only prayed when I was in trouble. And it wasn't until later when God showed me that my real need and dependence with him to walk with him day to day, or I was going to really mess some stuff up. And I'd already started to do that.
Yeah.
Winning kept me out of a lot of trouble. I didn't maybe go down the avenues of alcohol and other areas that some of my friends did, because I didn't see any benefit in doing that to help me win. But it was going to end up really bad if I didn't start walking with the Lord in wisdom, and he made that clear to me. And so that's when I really started, if you want to call it, rededicated my life or started following him. And then that's really when life got sweet.
Right.
You said Rick got better at golf through that. He did in some ways, because there was much more peace and a better perspective that let him relax. And so I played some great golf after that, and I played some bad golf after that. But in the ups and downs, like, I knew that God was with me, right, every step of the way. And so it made...
Well, we just lost a really good golfer yesterday. Reeves McBee
really
passed away. And Reeves is someone that I shared my faith with. And don't know that we had conversations like you and I are having, but he believed, so he said something. I was reading about him just this morning, that he continued to play golf and the score wasn't that important anymore, just to be out swinging a club. I'm not there yet. I still have, I guess it's the ego. I guess the ego is the last thing to die, but I still think I can play a good round of golf. Just one, I know I probably couldn't follow up with two.
It's like the Toby Keith song, right? I'm not as good as I once was.
I don't know.
But I'm as good once.
I don't know. But
that's what you're looking for.
I saw Toby on television, and we're beginning to move around a little bit, but that's okay. And he's been fighting cancer. He was very thin. It was the Oklahoma game. It was the Oklahoma SMU game.
I didn't know.
And the gal, the reporter said, how are you doing? And he goes, well, the way it is with cancer, I'm having some good days and I'm having some bad days. I get a good report and I get not so good report. But I got the man upstairs riding shotgun. And I thought, that's pretty cool, that he's believing in God to help him through this.
I didn't know that about him.
Well,
that's encouraging.
Yeah, I didn't either.
But I don't know that there's, you say ego or whatever, there's nothing wrong with playing golf for a score. Right.
Well, thank you.
The rest of your life, don't feel guilty. If you're a grinder and you want to do the best you can and shoot your age 150 times, that's great. But there is something also about...
I want to shoot my age once, but I'm still a young man, so it's hard.
And it's also okay to just go and play and have fun and not care about the score. That's not me. I still care. I still love playing inside the ropes with these young guys, in the state AM, which I don't know if you noticed, but I wore your Willowbrook rose on there.
Yeah.
We played a couple of years ago, so I enjoy that.
You're still competitive.
Well, it's good for my soul. Golf is a wonderfully difficult game that brings me a lot of humility, and that's a good thing. Yeah. Right, and that's a good thing, because to play it well or to compete and try to shoot a score is just humbling, especially when your score is thrown out there in front of everybody. Yeah. And it's okay. Learning to be okay with that. Like, nobody plays great all the time. In fact, everybody plays bad at some point. Even on the PGA Tour, we all have about a 15 to 20 shot window. And so if Rory can shoot 60, he's going to shoot 75, 77 at some point. And so if your low round out there is 85, you're going to shoot 100 or 105. It's coming. And it's just, the game is fragile. It's an awesome challenge, but it's good for my soul to kind of compete and still try to shoot a good score. Yeah.
We're talking about, the pros and great golf and sharing their Christian testimony. And I remember Steve Jones won the Bob Hope Classic one year. Yep. And he said, I want to give Jesus Christ all the credit right off the get-go. And most of those announcers would kind of like, oh, what do I do with this? And I'll never forget Jay Randolph, portly guy. He was a wonderful golf announcer. He goes, well, he sure helped your golf game. And I always remember that. I love that. But when Scotty won the Masters in 22, that was the most organic testimony I've ever heard. He wasn't like saying, Jesus turned my life around and did all this, but they were probing him. Well, why were you so upset off the golf course? Well, you know, I've never been in this position before. And his wife helped him through that. That was one of the sweetest testimonies. He said, I don't know if I'm ready for this. And she said, well, maybe you are. Maybe it's God wanting, this is your time. And if it doesn't happen, it's okay. He's going to love you. I'm going to love you.
Right.
And I thought, that is so beautiful. Meredith's her name. And I thought, wow, you know, as the Bible says, a man who finds a wife has found a good thing. And
she's great.
Yeah, and so that was, and then I'd heard that he couldn't do the Jimmy Fallon show or whatever, the Tonight Show, because he had a commitment in Fort Worth, and I believe it was one of your events.
Oh, well, that's kind of true.
Kind of true.
We would have gladly let him out if he wanted to go.
Right. Well, I understand that. Right.
But he had committed to us a year before to do a small fundraising event out of Vaquero Golf Club.
Oh, Vaquero. Okay.
With about 50 guys.
Yeah.
When he committed to it, he hadn't won it all on the PGA Tour, and he probably would have been just as effective as he was, because he's very humble and honest about who he is and his struggles. But it was wild that not only did he win him like 4 times, but then he just won the Masters and came. So the guys were just kind of blown away that he would show up and share about a ministry that he really cares about.
Wow.
So these guys don't host retreats because they need more friends. You know, they do have a heart for young men that were in the same situation they were, and they want them to hear about Jesus. They want him to trust them with their life. They want their families and their friendships to be transformed through that, like their life was. And so that's why they do it. And so he showed up to try to help us raise some funds so that we could do more events like his out there. Yeah. Which
well, I mean, he's doing what I'm doing right now, and that is, I want to share the joy that I have of knowing that I'm going to live eternally, and you know, someone can roll their eyes, or they can turn the dial, or whatever. I've done that. I saw a guy at my 50th high school reunion that shared with me when I was right out of high school, and I told him I was just fine, leave me alone. Yeah, I never forgot about it. Never forgot about it. And it kind of made his day to share that with him, but I didn't forget about it, because I could tell maybe life had been a little rough on him around the edges, you know? Yeah. But he still had that. And so, but you know, golf is a great game, but it's not the panacea. It's not, you know, thank goodness it's not. It's a hard game. So, it's great having you on and talking about what you're doing. Now, you've been doing this for quite a while, hadn't you?
It's been 17 years.
Okay.
And I'm thankful for every one of them. Never saw myself going into ministry. When I did start walking with Christ in college, I did go on to play pro golf, and kind of, I tell some people I played in a third of the world and couldn't find anywhere where I could make a living at it.
Oh, you went over to Asia and South Africa?
I went to mostly North America stuff.
Okay.
But in that time, like, God really used me to help lead Bible studies, talk to my friends about faith as I was walking and trying to become good at this game. And so the mini tours are kind of special in that way, where all the players kind of lock arms and try to help each other get better. It's kind of a cool experience.
Yeah, really.
And then through that time, the Brad Payne and the College Golf Fellowship guys like Rick said, when you quit, just don't go jump into another job. I thought I would coach like my dad. They said, just pray about coming to work for us. Like, we see God using you a lot, and maybe he's preparing you for this, which I thought I'd be on the PGA Tour, but you know, that wasn't my plan, just like Rick. Yeah. Although he went out there and won before he came to work. And so it's been a nice fit. I don't know how long it'll last. Right now, there seems to be a good place for me as a regional director. The college kids and coaches still seem to love it when I show up. I've still got plenty of opportunities to minister to them. And then I do a lot of ministry among our donors. You know, there's a lot of fundraising is ministry. Like, we care for our donors well. They're highly invested in what we do. And so I spend a lot of time with them, just praying for them and encouraging them and helping them navigate what's going on in life. And so that's part of what I do as well. And then I'm trying to, like, I think you even have a deal in here, what's the future of CGF look like? Yeah. I'm not sure. I know we would like to have I think it's 40 staff guys by 2030. And so we're headed that direction because there is 1,200 men's golf programs out there, if you can believe it, with, 10 to 12.
1,200 college men's golf. Wow.
Yeah.
I didn't know that. That's a good stat.
And we have about 20 in the college golf world, and then we have 5 or 6 guys that are working on the tours. And so we still would like to expand, and I'm a part of kind of staff expansion, trying to train and vet and recruit young staff guys to come work for us, and then also the retention, helping them build teams. And so that's a lot of what I do now, which is a great joy. I really enjoy that. And then help create new events. We actually have a junior tournament called the Webb Simpson Challenge that's been going on 8 to 10, maybe longer than that, and it's been very successful in North Carolina, and we're recreating that or duplicating it here in Dallas coming up, and it's going to be called the Scotty Scheffler Challenge.
Nice.
So we're going to have about 80 high school golfers, boy high school golfers, 15 to 18. They'll come and play in a tournament, but what's unique is they will have a team leader. They will have a college player or a young pro that is a team leader for every 5 kids that is kind of walking with them, before and after every round in different activities, devotionals, Bible studies, just discussions about the stuff they've experienced, helping them prepare for life and for college golf, etc.
Oh, that's great.
And so some of my job is the vision to kind of create those events and pull them off and get them started and make them successful.
So when will the first Scotty Scheffler Challenge happen? This coming year?
Yes, November 26th, 27th, and 28th. So
of this year?
Right after Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
They'll do a practice round that Sunday at Thanksgiving. They'll play Monday and Tuesday.
Nice.
So we just sent the invitations out last week.
Nice.
We're kind of late getting going, but we already have like 40 young men signed up. We're excited about.
That's
Hopefully
great.
We'll get to 80 before too long. The applications will close if you got friends or whatever on November the 8th, and then we'll kind of set the field and be off and running.
So collegegolffellowship.com, they can drill down and find these events and so forth?
You should be able to find it. The actual one is collegegolffellowship.com/the Scotty, if you can remember that.
Well,
and then go directly to the application
they'll
page.
remember that. Yeah. Okay. The Scotty.
If not, the Texas Golf Association is helping us run the event. They're managing it. And so it's going to be high quality work. And
That's really great.
It's really fun.
That's great. Sounds like fun. Sounds like you're enjoying it.
It's fun right now.
Yeah.
And I got 2 young boys that are enjoying playing. My wife is awesome and allows me to keep doing this by
How old
taking
are your
good care.
boys?
A 15 and 18-year-old. So I got a senior and a sophomore.
Wow. They play high school golf?
They are playing high school golf, and both of them say they want to play college golf. We'll see. So both of them were late bloomers. So the 18-year-old grew real late, and he's kind of doing pretty well, but he's, in the way the recruiting world is, if you shoot a couple 67s, everything changes. But he's getting really good, and the 15-year-old still hadn't grown. But you move him up where he has a wedge in, he's tough to beat. Like it's just a matter of time of him hitting it a little further.
Well, it's funny because this morning the coaches were talking about, and they had to tell a kid, you're not Division I material. You're a good player, and you'll get better. But if you really love football and you want to play, there's other opportunities than Division I.
Yeah.
And I didn't say anything that morning, but I felt in my chair there that when I came out of high school, I was a pretty good high school golfer, but I wasn't near as good as, say, my teammate Mark Triggs was. Mm-hmm. And I never should have gone to SMU. I should have gone to a junior college or a small college. There wasn't as many schools back then that had programs, but they were there. Odessa had a good one. McLennan County had one.
Still do.
Go where you can play. If you love golf, go where you can play. Don't go sit on the bench somewhere. Is that good advice?
That is very good advice.
Yeah.
And my oldest son's that way. He's probably a really good D3 prospect.
Okay.
He's smart like his mama, good player. And so he wants to go and just have somewhere where he can travel and have a good experience.
Yeah.
And going, honestly, like I took him to this event at Shady Oaks, the Ben Hogan tournament. Mm-hmm. And they see these guys playing, and I mean, these guys are men. I mean, they're athletes. They kill the ball, and so they see that and they go, all right, that's what a Division I top. And in reality, you kind of have to dominate your state to be able to go into one of those programs.
Right.
You do, and there's only, if there's 20 top programs and they're taking 2 kids every year, you're in the top 40 in the world. if you're going to go to the Texas and Oklahoma States, et cetera. And so they all have the dream of doing that. But in reality, there's 1,200 other programs you can go play at and have a great experience. And golf can be a wonderful vehicle in your life to mold you into the man God's called you to be.
And I'll share another story in that vein, and you know it as well as I do. But Paul Azinger wasn't very good in high school. He went to Broward Junior College. Then he went to Florida State. And he was okay. He got better. He ends up being a winning Ryder Cup captain, and now he has a wonderful broadcasting job.
It's awesome.
But he was not D1 material coming out of high school. So you don't know what.
You don't know.
You got to go where you have the chance to play, because that again, I don't want to overemphasize that, but that's better than sitting on the bench and not playing.
Yeah. It takes a special kid to go and sit for 2 years and work hard and earn his way. And there's a few that do it.
Yeah.
But it takes a special kid to be able to do that.
Because it's hard to work on golf when you don't have something to play in.
Right.
That's very unusual, but some people do that. Well, what have I forgotten to ask you before we close?
Oh, man. There's so much, but just thanks for your time. I mean, I need to.
It flew by.
Wow, it went fast. So I appreciate what you've done. It's been awesome knowing you over the years. And so.
Yeah, well, I really appreciate knowing you and what you're doing. And I didn't know exactly how it all was playing out, but I knew it was a thriving ministry. And thank you for being with us. And ladies and gentlemen, we're on YouTube. Tell your friends about it. Hit it where they mow. That comes from the great Harvey Penick. It's common sense. If you hit it where they mow, you're going to enjoy golf a lot more. And we're talking golf from Texas. And today we got to talk about our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ as well as golf. And if that's offensive to someone, I apologize, but I've had a great time talking about it. And I think C.S. Lewis was the one that said, it's either the most important thing in life or it's the least important. It's not somewhere in between. You have to decide that. I think it's the most important thing. And for Pete's sake, keep golf less important. Even though we love it, keep it less important. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
See you next week. Okay.